there has to be two sides to that. Listen, some of you will know what I'm talking about. If you have ever in your life pursued a relationship and that person didn't reciprocate, that led to great frustration. If you truly, ladies, if you truly love the man, or men, you truly love the woman, and you were going after that person and they didn't pay you any attention, that's a hard place to be. That's a difficult place to be. And believe it or not, there are people that will go after people for years and not be reciprocated in any way. Sometimes you'll look back and see how much time you have wasted waiting on somebody. Somebody say amen, please. The intentional pursuit has to be two-sided. It has to be two-sided. But one thing that we do know is that God is the one that initiated this pursuit. God is the one that initiated the pursuit. Really, speaking of this, if God was waiting for me to pursue him, he'd be waiting a long time. Because I didn't have him on my mind. I don't know if I'm talking to anybody here, but I did not have God on my mind. I wouldn't be here preaching to you if God didn't intentionally pursue me. And so the ideal of pursuing first begins in God. He is the one that pursues after us, that makes any capacity of us trying to pursue his glory make any sense at all. It can't make sense except we first understand that God was the one that was chasing after me. We don't pursue him, he pursues us. We can't love him, he loved us. And we are further exposed to this in the Philippian text when we begin to look at things like the kenosis and the incarnation. Because what God does in that is he shows us the tremendous capacity of his love for us. We see it when we visit the garden. We see God walking. The Bible said the voice of God walked in the cool of the day. He was walking in the cool of the day looking for us. Looking for intimacy, looking for a relationship with God. And here's how usually it's reciprocated. While he's looking for us, Adam and Eve are hiding. And so God is going after us. God is pursuing after you. God is showing up in your life. He's making himself known. He's stretching himself out to you. And the only way that's going to make glory make any sense at all is there has to be a reciprocation of his pursuit with my desire for him to pursue me. Oftentimes we are very elusive to his pursuit. I'm going to be real. Can I be real? While he's pursuing me, I'm in the club dancing. While he's pursuing me, I'm smoking up. While he's pursuing me, I'm drinking myself to death. While he's pursuing me, I'm all over the place, running myself like a fool. Amen. He's pursuing me, but I am not pursuing him. And the hymnologist said, well, by the time we really get a grasp of this, the hymnologist said, such love that God should love a sinner such as I. That means that while I was not interested in him, he kept coming after me. He didn't allow the fact that I wasn't interested in him to stop the pursuit. He did not allow the fact that I didn't care about him, that I was not interested in him or church or anything like that. He kept coming after me. So in the incarnation, we have this idea of the kenosis, where God takes all of his effulgence, all of his glory, all of his magnanimity, everything that he is, his internality, everything that God is, and he pours himself out into a robe of flesh, just so that he can come to where I am, just that he can show me how much he loves me. He is willing to sit where I sit. He is willing to smell like I smell. He is willing to be in the mess that I'm in to show me that he's willing to pursue me. There's something about me being in church, I never want to forget what Jesus did for me. I don't want to become so much of a titled person or a privileged person or have certain seating that I forget where he has brought me from. I was in a mess. I was messed up, polluted in my own blood. I was in a horrible pit, but God in his love came down to where I was and showed me he loved me and that I was worth pursuing. The incarnation will blow our minds when we think how God came and sat where you sit. Friend, if you're here tonight and you're not saved, Jesus came to be right where you are. And he's not concerned about what other people think. He's coming to where you are. He's not concerned what anybody thinks about you. He knows what his thoughts are concerning you. He knows he loves you so much. There is nothing that can block him from loving you. There is nothing that can stop him from showing you how much he loves you. This pursuit is seen in the story of Zacchaeus. Because I do believe that we'll see different phases or different stages of this pursuit. But in Zacchaeus, we see where there might be a flicker of interest. Because there are some people that have a bit of interest. You know, there's some interest to find who God is and to know who God is. There's a little bit of interest. So Zacchaeus hears that Jesus is passing by. And because he hears, just hearing that Jesus is passing by, he wants to get a glimpse, wants to see this. And so he runs ahead and climbs up into a sycamore tree. And while he's up in the tree, Jesus shows us just tremendous love when he walks by the tree. And while he's walking by the tree, he just happened to stop because he knew someone was up there. And looked up and said, Zacchaeus, come down. Hurry up and come down, because today I want to be with you. That intentional pursuit, it's so beautiful. You see, oftentimes we don't really get a grasp of Zacchaeus because he was really a con artist, a cheat, and he was the kind of person who ripped people off, and people really didn't like him. But Jesus is rarely is Jesus concerned about other people's thoughts about you. He knows what's in you. He knows, can I say it? He knows the glory that is in you. And he wants to bring that glory out. If he waits on other people, that glory will sit there. But he's got to come and release you so your glory can be revealed. It gets messy. It gets messy. And I don't want to mess around with anybody, but it gets messy. Mark, you know the story about the woman with the, can I come down, Bishop? You know the story of the woman at the well. And so Jesus says to the disciples, I must needs go through Samaria. Any other Jew would have went around. Any other Jewish person would have found some way. You know, there are some people who don't want to go in the path that you're in because they don't want to tamper with their reputation. They don't want to get a bad name coming along and being where you are because your life has been a mess. But Jesus said, I must needs go through Samaria. There's a woman there that has some glory in her. There's a woman there that has some glory in her. And that glory is shrouded. That glory is covered by her mess. But there's glory in there. And Jesus just wants to show us how much he is willing to pursue us to come after her. So he says, I must needs go through Samaria. And so by the time he gets to Samaria, he finds a woman there. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you know the discourse that he has this conversation with her. And he says, by the way, because he wants to get her into a deeper walk, he says, where's your husband? And there's a moment of truth. Everybody will have a moment of truth where you can decide to tell the truth. You can try to cover up. You can try to save face and try to act like everything's all right. But if you want to get to the next level, you are going to be intentional about the truth. She said, I don't have one. I don't have one. And Jesus said, God, glory to God. That's truth. because the one you have is not yours. And all that Jesus was doing was showing her that she was worth pursuing. Can I talk about it a little bit? Can I talk about this? Because this, sometimes we glaze over the King James. The writers of the King James, you know, the English folk are really proper. So they don't really give us the essence of what's going on here. Well, when we look at this text, and she had 5 husbands. That means that this woman was so broken in her heart that she was looking for love. Can I say to you that I think that her actions were actions of worship? I think because worship becomes an expression of what our inner being is. We find things to give ourselves to in the pursuit of looking. Rolome says that Rolome is a psychologist, and he says that men participate in the life-giving act, in the pursuit for life. So in other words, can I make it plain? That men will engage themselves in the act of fornication and sexual intimacy because it's through that act that life is produced. That men will engage themselves in that pursuit looking for life. But no matter how many people you are with, you will not find life until you find Jesus. Our culture is pursuing life. And so they're with people all over the place. But until people find Jesus, they will never find life.